Hey people, what's up? Welcome to the Shield Wall. I am off work a little earlier, which is why I have nicer clothes on today than my usual hoodie or whatever. So today I wanted to talk about swatting and good and bad shoots on behalf of the cops. This is a really weird story that came out over the weekend. And it's got people pretty heated. Was it a good shoot or not? So I want to spell out what the situation was, and then just my opinions about cops and shootings, and then whether or not maybe this was a good shoot at all. So here's the thing. The story is that two guys got into an argument online. They were playing a video game of some sort, and one guy gets mad at the other guy, says he's going to go over and, beat him up or something like this. This part of the story is a little confusing. We're not totally sure what happened. The other guy taunted him and said, yeah, come on over. Here's my address. And then the first guy swatted him, which is calling the police on somebody and having them go to your house or going to that individual's house. But what they do is what this guy did is he said, hey, I just shot my dad in the head and I've got a gun on the rest of my family and I've got gasoline all over the house. I'm just going to burn it to the ground. And then he gave the cops the address. Now, the address was not the actual address of the person he was getting in a fight with, because that person was smart enough not to give him his actual address. Unfortunately, he gave him a fake address, and this led to the address of a totally innocent person. So this leads us to the part where the cops show up. So at this point, the cops show up. They tell the guy comes out. There's a spotlight on the guy's door. The guy can't see very well. It looks like he couldn't hear the cops very well, and the cops are asking him to come forward or whatever. And the guy looks like he's raising his hands, and in some people say, oh, it looks like he's raising his hands to his face because he can't see, and other people say, well, he's actually reaching behind his back, and that looks like he's grabbing a gun. And so whatever the interpretation is, one of the police officers shot him, and now he's dead. And so this is obviously a tragedy. You feel awful for the family. And now we have this stuff going around about good cops, good shoots, bad shoots again. And I just wanted to opine a little bit on this and just kind of feel this out and flesh this out a little. So first of all, the mother said, the mother of the victim, so remember, the victim is totally unrelated to these other two people who got into this argument. So the mother of the victim says, well, why did the cop shoot my son? They murdered him. And I actually don't think this is right. I'm not, the mother is in a tragic state. The guy was a father of two kids. This is terrible. I don't blame the family for any of their emotional responses or anything they have to say to the press. I don't blame them at all. So don't hear that. But I just don't think she's using the right word in terms of what happened. I don't think this guy was murdered. I don't think there was an intent on a malice or motive on the part of the police to shoot the guy. Now, what is up for debate is this a good or bad shoot? And that's really what it comes down to when it comes to police officer shootings, is this a good or bad shoot? I think it's pretty clear that this is a bad shoot. So then on the next part, or the next thing that we need to determine is this a bad shoot due to criminal negligence or not? And so here's something that people have to realize about the police. The police are hired, and their job requires them to fight bad guys. The vast majority of the time, bad guys, even though they're bad, are compliant with the police in the terms of arrest. And so cops don't have to beat people over the head, and they don't have to shoot people, and they don't have to commit other crimes. Do some cops do that? I think it's clear that is what happens. There is a very small number of bad people who happen to make it onto police forces and who commit crimes. Shame on them. And if you see that, then let's fight it together. But in the vast majority of cases, that's not what cops are doing, and I don't think that's what happened here. I think we have a bad shoot, but I'm not sure there was a criminal negligence in the shoot. I'm up in the air. On the one hand, from the body cam, it sounds like the guy is giving orders and he's telling the guy to come out. The motion from the cam is the camera on the body is so far away that basically, all these news agencies are zooming in and they're like, see, he's doing this. And I think it's really hard to tell. The shot is very grainy. If the camera's having that kind of problems, there's no telling what the cop was seeing. When you raise your hand, you just don't know. When I first watched it without any commentary whatsoever, from just the body cam, it looks like the hand is being raised like this. So almost looks like raising a gun to shoot somebody. But I can see how someone could say, oh no, what he's actually doing is this, because he can't see and he just came outside and it's pitch black outside, but this huge spotlight is on him. So here's the thing. I think you could probably go either way. On is this a bad shoot or not? Or I'm sorry, on is this a criminally bad shoot, or is this not, or is this a justified shoot? So people need to understand that you can be a cop and shoot somebody by mistake, but not break the law, right? If your cop has a reasonable suspicion to believe that you have a weapon or you are attempting to do something that is unlawful, then cops are not committing a crime if they shoot you. That's why we have grand juries. Grand juries often, when a cop shoots somebody and there's any level of suspicion that they committed a crime, whether they killed the person on purpose or by accident under the forms of criminal negligence, you have a grand jury so that the grand jury can get all the facts and determine, hey, this was a bad shoot and criminal negligence or not, or this was a bad shoot and he did it on purpose, which is even rarer. So the reason why that doesn't extend to any other job is because teachers don't get paid by the people, by the government, to shoot people, to shoot bad guys. But cops, under a very limited, extreme circumstance situation, do have the right and the obligation to fight bad guys, and sometimes that means they shoot at them. That's why we have a grand jury that determines whether or not they committed a crime, and this will go to grand jury. Now, my personal opinion, like I said, it's very difficult to tell from the grainy shot on the chest. Now, from the body cam. Now, I think that people who say, listen, they didn't talk to the neighbors, they didn't give clear enough instructions, the guy doesn't have a foghorn, and some people, including the mother of the victim, claimed that nobody could hear what the police were saying and all they had was spotlights. I could see how someone could make a good case that the cops were negligent. They didn't do their homework. It doesn't look good in terms of the process for the decision to shoot the guy. That said, when somebody looks like they're pulling a gun, all of your coworkers, all your friends, all the people that you work with and you know their families, and you go to their Christmas parties, and yourself, and you have a family, and you have friends, and people are depending on you. When you're standing outside in front of a house and it looks like someone's going for a gun, maybe it's criminally negligent, but I can understand it. I mean, maybe that's where I'm at. This is a particularly messy shoot. I really think that it is a hard. It'd be very difficult to come down on either side, and I don't fault people on either side of this situation. That said, I'll give you a good example of something I don't think was a criminal shoot. I think Michael Brown was a thug, and he was trying to knock a cop around, and the cop shot him lawfully. A good example of one that I think is a bad shoot is the situation. And this guy actually faced a grand jury and got let off, and I think that was wrong. He shows up in a hotel. The cops have been told that a guy has a gun. It ended up being like a pellet gun, and he was waving around by the window, and people called on him because it was right after the Las Vegas stuff. So the guy is blubbering drunk. When he comes out of his hotel room, the cops tell him to get down, put your hands behind your back, crawl to me, and if you do anything that I say not to do, I'll shoot you. And they're giving these terrible, terrible orders. And because the guy's crawling along the ground and he's drunk and stupefied, his pants are getting dragged down by the friction of the ground as he moves. And he reaches down to pull up his pants, and the cops think he's going for a gun, and they shoot him. Now, in this case, the cops have actually. The reason why they shot the man was based off of his actions in accordance with their bad instructions. And in that case, I think the cops are criminally negligent and should have not been let off by the grand jury. So, anywho, that's a long rant. It's just suffice to say that this is a terrible situation. I feel awful for the parents and for the children of this guy. It was clearly wrong. The people who need to go to jail are these two idiots online. They clearly have done something wrong. Maybe the guy who gives a false address, maybe he's either not guilty of any wrongdoing or less guilty. But this guy who called the SWAT team or whatever, he actually had a history of doing this. He went to jail for 2 years for doing it once before. So this guy clearly needs to go to jail. He's committed manslaughter. He basically sicked the police on somebody and made them think that the guy was a maniac who was about to shoot up his family. So this guy clearly needs to go to jail. But in terms of what we pay cops to do, we pay cops to fight bad guys, and we have to know that cops shooting bad guys is not unlawful unless we have a reason to believe so. And I know that's hard to swallow, but that's just the facts. That doesn't mean they should be able to shoot whoever they want. It just means that when they shoot somebody, they get the benefit of the doubt. And that's why we have grand juries or whatever, because that's their job. At the end of the day, they are paid to fight other bad guys. Anywho, this will not make me any friends. I'm sorry if you guys hate me. Anywho, if you guys like this video or like more videos, I'm planning on having some more stuff coming up here soon. I'm going to get some pipe tobacco in the mail, and I'll spell out some more stuff, like more pipe stuff for you guys. Please like and share. Please subscribe. I'd love to get 1,000 subscribers before the summer. For some people, that's a crazy, oh my God, that's never going to happen. And for other people, they do it after one big video. So, anywho, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.